Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Movie View. If you saw my last video, I was real hyped talking about, the new DC Universe, Wonder Woman, James Gunn, working on the writing, the script for Wonder Woman, World's Finest rumors, about the other project he's working on that I think he's writing. And I don't know if he'll direct it, but we talked a little bit about some of those things, right? But in this video, we'll be talking about, can Superman actually hit, 1 billion at the global box office, And this isn't just about, good reviews, good reception, where the franchise is going or whether Superman can become the biggest superhero in the world right now, right? It's not about that, I don't think. But why 1 million is a big deal? I feel like first, it's a big benchmark to hit, especially for DC right now, right? For DC, they need a big hit to kind of set off the universe, and so this isn't some just baseless metric, as far as the 1 billion goes, you know what I mean? This means it'll signify global appeal, how the critical audiences, the success of the film, the launch of a freaking successful universe. I feel like, all those things, compiled, I think is extremely important. But for the DC, for DCU, this is super critical, man. The DCEU had a whole mixed, hoopla of, box office numbers, right? Aquaman proved, that it was possible to hit 1 billion. I believe it hit 1 billion, right? But the DCEU just had a big issue with being consistent. That's just what it was. We can't sugarcoat it, right? But 1 billion for Superman in the new universe, the DCU, it would be huge, man. And operating underneath James Gunn's new vision, right? Which I know a lot of people don't agree with, a lot of his choices and style for the film. I understand that. But as far as box office numbers and as far as where the vision and where they're going with the stories and with the franchise, I think it's a big deal, man. But there's a couple factors, right? Obviously, that has to kind of hit for them to hit 1 bill, right? The first thing I would say, James Gunn, right? He's already proven he can deliver, really good, successful superhero movies, right? His involvement, is bringing a lot of energy, I think a good vision, in my opinion, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of people are curious and eager to see, what he can do with Superman, right? Another thing, the whole legacy of Superman, who Superman is. One of the most recognizable, beloved characters, some people might say, in the whole world, right? Dude's an icon. The public goodwill towards the character, but he has had a few shaky, appearances, obviously, when we're speaking of Zack Snyder, and even some people dating back to the 70s, 80s, iterations of the character, right? And this ain't even an origin story. It's a fresh start, with an established hero, which I think opened up, which it's like it's a different entrance or to the character. I think it's dope. Corenswet is Clark Kent, in Superman. Got Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, which people love her. I think it's The Marvelous Miss Maisel. She's in another movie with Rami Malek, I think is coming out. And they both looked the part. They look perfect to me. Great, a great cast, even with the other cast members. But these two kind of leading the film in this new generation, this new era of DC, movies, in the universe is great, and it creates a lot of buzz, right? And a lot of people, I think, wanted a fresh start for the DCU. People are hungry, man. They want a well-planned universe, and Superman is literally the first step to creating that. And that could directly correlate, to ticket sales. You know what I mean? And while there is some challenges, for it, I would say, the elephant in the room, superhero fatigue. We do love the movies, right? And there's been a lot of talk, a lot of discussion about how the market is oversaturated. You know what I mean? And a lot of box office, numbers for a lot of superhero films, a little bit, kind of as of late, ain't really been that great. So it kind of like begs the question, our audience is becoming a little bit more picky, about what they want to see, which you can't be mad at, right? This is the first movie in the new universe, so it's exciting, but it also, you know what I mean? It also means that, it's not building on something that's already established, obviously, you know what I mean? So it has this fresh take, and it kind of has the advantage, but it's also a disadvantage, because audiences need to be convinced that this version of these characters in this whole, the area or the journey that we're going on is worth investing in, for the long haul and the long term, right? But the summer of 2025 is going to be packed, and so we don't have a full slate yet, but there's going to be other blockbusters, trying to get the attention of people, and standing out for Superman is something that he needs to do. It's going to be a key for him, you know what I mean? For the company, obviously, Warner Brothers needs this too. So, but Superman got a lot riding on his shoulders, man. He just does. The pressure, I see online every day on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and I see a lot of big, name people, writers, comic book people. It's a lot of pressure, and obviously the general audience. Some of them are kind of not excited to have a new Superman. Some people miss Henry Cavill. Some people thought, he was a great Superman. Some people, I think most people don't agree with that take, but that's just what it is, People have different opinion, But back to Superman, if he doesn't hit, if he don't deliver, critically, that could mess up, the word of mouth, right? And essentially leaking into the box office numbers. And that's just what it is. We have to be honest with ourselves. That's just what it is, right? So, after weighing in on all the pros and the cons, can Superman, James Gunn Superman, hit 1 billion? My honest, prediction of it, my honest, opinion on it is, I think it can. Yes, I think it can. I think it's going to take a combination of James Gunn, just the nature of Superman and how they portray him, the cast in itself, and just the hunger for a good, successful, a right fulfilling DC reboot. I think that'll push it over the edge. Obviously, in word of mouth, right? It won't be easy, obviously, by any stretch of the imagination, but I believe it has all the ingredients, all the makings of a movie that could hit 1 billion. But what do y'all think, man? If you're tuning in, tell me what you think. Do you think Superman can fly high and hit 1 billion, right? Or do you think it's going to fall short by a lot, by a little? You know what I mean? You guys let me know what your predictions are in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe for more DC movie news. And hit that notification bell so you don't miss my next video, baby. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Movie View out.